We've had discussion about the 24 mil fund recently. You can see there the description of that. 24 mil fund is used to account for resources provided by the special municipal ad valorem tax levied on all taxable property in the city for school purposes. That's based on the verbiage in the ballot and on the notice that was sent out related to those two elections. I'll talk a little bit more about that in a second. The board is authorized to apply the proceeds of special tax payment of principal and interest on any of its warrant anticipation notes, capital outlay warrants, or payment of the cost of operating public schools in the city. That 24 mils was came to be in two elections. One was 1990, started the school system in 1988, May 8th of 1990. The city millage at that point was 6.5 mils. There was a 14 mil addition proposed to the voters at that point, and it passed, which made the city, the district tax, 14 mils of which was to be utilized for public school purposes. Passed again in May 12th of 1998. There was an additional 10 mils proposed to the voters, which that was passed under the same scenario, same wording on the notices and on the related ballots. If you break that up into how much that produces, 10 mils, for example, the last election last year produced just under $14 million. Our debt service last year was $16 million. So however you want to apply that, you can kind of see the relationship. Technology last year certainly added to that. It was a big year as we had our secondary technology initiative that we implemented. So just a little background. I know there's been some discussion about that, and I wanted to try to do the best I could in terms of helping understand. I hope that helps, and I'll be glad to try to answer any questions, and see if we can help us also.
Well, I guess to make it simple, some of the things or some of the calls that I receive is the old cliche, our expenditures are obviously more than our revenues. Is that the case that's been going on?
No, that's what I'm trying to simplify here.
I understand.
If they were, these would be going downward.
I understand, but that's what I keep hearing. So I just want to hear, I can see the numbers, but I just want to hear that's not the case.
No.
You got the 80, and the 80 plus million from the county. And I heard you mention it again, but I want to hear you say it again exactly where it is. You've got it spread out. I mean, where is that money?
It's in a self-balancing set of accounts in the debt service fund. The debt service fund itself is actually at year end made up of local money and county money. The two together make up the 87 million. We got 80. When we received that money, it was 85.6
from the county.
Was the gross appropriation.
So the past few years, maybe I'm going to be asked a question. Mr. McVeigh, what kind of increase have we seen on our students over the last few years, percentage-wise? Do you have any idea?
We usually, over time, we've grown about 3%.
3%? Am I correct? Go ahead.
Last year, last year to the year we're in now, we gained 364 off of 12,041. So I don't know what that percentage is.
What kind of percentage have we increased in our teacher ratio compared to our students?
Our teacher ratio has actually gone down. We opened the freshman center this year, so anytime, typically when you open, especially a secondary school, you have Your ratio will go down because you'll have to add those extra units. It's never a clean split in terms of, all right, this many students are going here, so proportionally this many students, or this many teachers go. It never works out that way because you have certain programs you got to offer at both places, plus you have incremental staffs. Special ed area is an area where we've, for example, this year preschool with some of the new laws recommendation where you have a typical peer that has really put pressure in that area. Had to increase staffing significantly in that. Our elementary model, we pretty much use the same model we've used in terms of those classroom ratios that we try to abide by. What can happen there from year to year is if you staff based on a certain enrollment level and you missed it on the high side, and you, in essence, got capacity the next year when you're back going through the process again. We try in that process to identify and estimate as best we can to be able to take advantage of getting the best teacher sooner in the process. We try not to say, let's wait and see, and leave our principals out in the middle of the summer trying to get the best teachers, because you typically get that on the front end. So
And I know this is the time of year too, especially next month when we're going to start seeing a lot of retirements. And I know that's something that we always see this time of year. But I was just kind of curious about our percentage there. I know that we really haven't had a lot of spikes as far as student increases. It's been fairly somewhat consistent. I didn't know how our teacher or our personnel actions, had they maintained or had they increased? Or
well, they have increased, but
exceeded
primarily
that.
related to opening that new facility in a couple specific areas, one of which we talked about. This year, I would expect the estimated enrollment to be lower. We're about 2/3 of the way through. Is that right? And just based on the enrollment by school, it's not going to be 360. I don't think it's going to be 365 next year. Of course, kindergarten's always the one you really just try to do the best you can based on some historical and feel for the neighborhood kind of thing, but it's always the most unpredictable. And you do get to also, Mr. Stefano, this year we had, like I say, 364, but at the same time, that was kind of aided by a small 12th grade class going out and about an average. So there's about, if I remember right, there's probably about maybe a 70, 75 or 80 differential there. There was, if you didn't get another student into the system as a whole, you're going to increase by that many students because you had a smaller grade go out and a larger average grade come out. This year we have a good sized 12th grade matriculating out of the system, so we shouldn't have that built-in gain.
Plus, at the same time, I know we offer an awful lot of services throughout our system that our citizens have got accustomed to, which is great. And I know we also talked about that. Were you able to ever put anything together concerning percent of personnel to the gross revenues?
We typically gauge that in terms of personnel costs as a percent of operating expenses. It's 85%. It's 85% for our budget. That's pretty typical. If you look at our state funding sheet and take the allocations that are salary and benefit based, and if you take that what they call an OCE allocation, which can pay for anything all across the board, including salaries and wages. Most people code all the salaries and wages because of the way proration's been, or I do, because of the way proration was administered the last time we had it. But if you take all those allocations and you divide them by the total allocation, it's about 97%.